about half a mile outside of Brixham towards Churston, there was an Esso run fuel depot. It was established in about 1943, I believe, because it was too dangerous for tankers to transit up the channel due to risk of E-boat attack. So the tankers came into Brixham, unloaded at the breakwater. It was all aviation fuel, high-grade aviation fuel. It was stored in tanks at Bury Head and at the base of the breakwater, and then sent through a pipework system through Brixham up to the fuel depot. Trains of tankers came down overnight to Goodrington, broken up into rakes of 10, which were then brought up to Brixham, filled overnight, and then taken back the following night. So over a 3-day period they got through 40 tankers of aviation fuel up to the Cotswolds, where it went into the RAF underground storage network for distribution to the bomber bases up through the east of England and transport bases for D-Day, etc. I remember this when I was a young lad walking up through there in the early 60s, because you could still smell the fuel seeping up from the tanks, the underground tanks. It's all been demolished and built on in the early 70s now. But anyway, I wanted to build this board, so I did. This the main line from, well, the branch line from Brixham comes in, follows around, and then departs for Churston. Again, the track layout, well, first of all, there's very little information around, because they just didn't record it then, and it was wartime, so it was all classified anyway. I made up the refuelling rigs from plasticard strip. There's a lot of bits in there, and it took a long time, and each road will take 10 tankers. I've used Dapple Easy Shunt, and there's magnets buried underneath so that I can actually do the shunting. Make up the trains in the loop and carry on. So that is all as was, with the loop and the sidings. The only thing extra I've added is this little head shunt here, because again, it just gives me a little bit more flexibility, and I can keep a loco or two in there. And then it disappears off to Churston, which will be the next section. Okay, so Churston used to be a limestone bridge, road bridge at Churston, which again I can remember, and again in the early mid-70s it was demolished and replaced by the current concrete tarmac job that's there. But I did it like this because I can. Right, now Churston, again I've stretched the original layout to suit my purposes. There was a crossover and slip arrangement in this area. I've just tweaked it to suit my purposes. The cattle dock is a bit longer, and I've added this loop all the way around the outside, which is a storage loop, which will take a full-length express train and the engine. You can lose an HST 2+8 in there. Anyway, the bay platform as well, I've made that longer. That used to take an engine plus 2 auto coaches. I've extended it a little bit. You can get an engine and about 3 coaches in there. But I've tried, like with everything on the layout, it's based on what happened, what was real, and I've tweaked it to suit my purposes. Churston Station building itself, it's one of my laser jobs. I come from Brixham, live up there, still got a house there, and I'm not working down here, so I was easily able to get lots of photographs, 3-view drawings, etc. Designed it, laser cut it. Same for the signal box. Passenger bridge is a ratio end gauge, and Churston actually curves the opposite direction to this, but that doesn't work in my shed, so it has to go to the left and it disappears off. At this point the rail station goes back down to single track to carry on down to Kingswear. On here it stays as a double track and disappears into my rendition of Greenway Tunnel. And then onto the seawall. Okay, more liberties here. My geography's all wrong because we come out of Parsons Tunnel and in a minute we'll disappear into Dawlish Tunnel, so it's all wrong. But again, as I said just now, I like to base things on reality. So that's a picture of Parsons Tunnel which I laser cut the tunnel mouth. We'll run along the seawall. Parsons Tunnel signal box, which was removed in the 50s, I believe. So we proceed along the seawall. Well, we would end up at Teignmouth. We actually go into the tunnel at Dawlish. But again, it's a correct rendition, or the best I can, from photographs and scaling it to N gauge. Got a lift out tunnel section to protect the track from splashback from the sink. Then around the corner in South Devon into Cornwall, over my version of the Royal Albert Bridge. Again, laser cut job, designed myself. I know it's about Kingdom Bridge, will design the big one. I copied it. 2 spans in N gauge would take it up to about there. I only need to cover the doorway, so 1 span does the job. It's not exactly 1 to 148, but it's close enough and it looks right, which is the main thing. And you know, it's 2 tracks and the real one's single track, so it's not a true scale model in the first place. And then to what I call Trago junction with a ratio signal box. Now what I wanted to replicate here was those twisty curvy lines that run down the Glyn Valley by Trago Mills at Liskeard, where with all the woods behind. But I also wanted some storage space, so we used the trees to hide 2 lanes of storage where I can get a 2+8 HST and a 2+7 HST train complete. And then the final bit, sweeping curves that run into my version of Redruth in Cornwall. Okay, so back down to single, back onto the main, and then there's a crossover. Right. Particularly like this area myself. I'm quite proud of this. That is a scale model of Marshall's Shaft, which was actually a pumping house in Troon. Still stands. Been able to take photos of that, etc. And this is a compressor house, which is drive past twice a day on the way to and the way back from work. It's by the bridge near big Tesco's in Poole at Durrance Lane, very close to where Carnbray Station used to be. So, you know, based on reality, my version of Redruth going up the hill and into, again, geography's all wrong, but that's the tunnel mouth to the east of Redruth that goes towards Drump Lane. And then we're off behind the scenes to carry all the way around to come out by the bridge at Churston again. And that's the twin tracks running behind the refuge siding that appear here to pass under the bridge back to Churston, and we're off again.